Hey, it's time for another edition of Singles Only Podcast. Paul Farahvar here, your host. This week, no voice of reason. We did this via Zoom with Lindsay Glazer out in Vegas. Check her out. Check this out on my YouTube page, youtube.com/Paul F Comedy. If you want to see this episode, check out Lindsay and her upcoming dates. Check out my upcoming dates at paulfcomedy.com. I had some issues with my website. If you were one of those people that got on there and there was some CAPTCHA bullshit, can you let me know and screenshot it to me at pfarahvar@gmail.com? I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know what the fuck is going on with it. I'm trying to get a coding expert, I guess. I contacted the hosting people, whatever I could. I don't know. If you know anything about it, let me know too. Follow me on Instagram, please, if you haven't already. I'm at Innings Fest tonight. Depending on when you hear this, I'll be in Innings Fest in Arizona. Come say hi. If you are at Innings Fest, then I'll be at House of Comedy in Arizona with my friend Tony B on February 28th, House of Comedy in Arizona. Then I'm headlining Hey Nani in Arlington Heights on Friday, March 3rd. Laugh Factory the next night. Then I'm off to Looney Bin in Wichita, March 9th through the 11th, working with my friend Gabriel Rutledge. Then headlining Helium in St. Louis, March 12th, Sunday in St. Louis. Please check that out. Or if you know anyone in St. Louis, please come have them check me out. I'll be in Florida at Innings Fest in Tampa, then Off the Hook in Naples in March as well with Brett Ernst for a week, and then with Adam Carolla. Please check those shows out. And then I'll be back headlining Zanies in Old Town on Tuesday, April 4th. Tickets are available right now. That show should sell out. Please help make that possible. That's it. A bunch of stuff coming up soon. I got a big announcement about the podcast. So stay tuned. Enjoy. Tell me what you think of these upcoming episodes. And I promise you, I will go through all the reviews that you guys have been leaving me. If you have any reviews or if you haven't reviewed one and you want me to talk about it, please give us a 5-star review anywhere you're listening right now. Subscribe if you don't already. And check out our sponsors. Hey, it's time for another edition of Singles Only Podcast. Paul Farahvar here. We're doing this via Zoom, and I have my guest. If you're listening, you can go watch this on my YouTube channel. Lindsay Glazer, all the way from Las Vegas. Hey, Lindsay.
What's up, Paul? Thanks for having me. I'm sorry I couldn't get into Chicago. I know we were trying to make it work.
Yeah, well, we were both never in the same. I thought we'd be, because we both travel in the same kind of circuits. I was like, oh, maybe we'll be in the same city because you go to Florida a lot. I go to Florida.
And I go to Illinois a lot.
So I said, fuck it. Let's just do it by Zoom so we can get it done before you're no longer single, because I don't want that to happen.
That's right.
So, Lindsay, you have an awesome background for this show. First of all, you're a lawyer like myself, so we're better than 90% of society.
Absolutely. Kindred spirits, we're better. That's probably why we're single, is our attitude.
That's probably true too. And then we're also comedians, and you're also hilarious, and you're also you were married, right?
I was married. Yes, I was.
And now you're divorced.
I sure am.
So you can look at this through a different perspective. On this show, I tell people constantly the theme is marriage is an outdated institution. What say you?
I mean, I actually agree with the idea that marriage is an outdated institution. I listened to Esther Perel. I think it's Perel, right? Not P-E-R-E-L, not Purcell like the soap. I think she's got some great ideas. You always see the joke about like polyamory makes sense because why can one person can't afford a house now? But if you think about it from like the standpoint of it takes a community to raise a village. And, I'm from Peoria, Illinois, a small village. But no one stays in that small village anymore. Now you go out and you're in different towns. So you don't have your aunt and your mom to babysit. It's not the same. And unless you can afford a live-in nanny, you are raising that kid with your spouse or on your own if you get divorced. And it is hard. It's hard. It's exhausting. And
I think
women
that
now. So
now women have rights. Good or bad. I'm not saying that they should or shouldn't. I'm just saying they do.
12th Amendment, ignored. Women have rights now.
Yeah, so it's a different world out there. But I feel like women who've had children and are divorced have the best of both worlds, right? Because you get a break from motherhood. You get to explore your lives. And then you also have had children, so you don't have like some biological clock saying, well, if I want to have kids, I have to do it before, a certain period of time. And you have that right now. So you already have
you've birthed children or child. So child, singular. Yeah. Agree with that?
I part of it. I agree with the fact that I'm not like, I need to date someone who wants to have kids right away, so there's no pressure. I don't want any kids. I don't want to get married again. Marriage is actually hurtful for a woman who makes more money than the man. It can only hurt you financially. I would never get married again unless it was like a billionaire and he didn't want me to sign a prenup, because that makes sense. But other than that, I mean, speaking of which, I do have a second date with a tech bro tonight. But from the standpoint of, oh, women get a break from their parents when they're divorced and they're not as busy. No, women become single moms when they're divorced, because likely in marriage, even if the guy was a stay-at-home dad, men in general tend to be less organized than women at appointment making.
Right.
And I don't know if that's just a function of like where girls are in society and how you're taught, but I still make all the doctor's appointments, all the dentist appointments, deal with all the insurance, like super billing on the back end, and that in itself. Like if people are like, oh, you should have an assistant. I don't want an assistant. I want just a person who deals with fucking insurance.
Right.
That's maddening. And just like so many things, like my kid goes to therapy, and on Friday, I got this message. I said, hey, you're saying I owe you $350. I don't owe you any money because you're billing me as a cash payment. I have insurance. And they're like, well, you never provided your insurance card to us. And I'm like, here's an email from September 2020 where I provided you my insurance, And I feel like this is especially true in both Vegas and Florida. I live on both coasts. I spend an inordinate amount of time fucking proving to providers that I did what they asked me to do, because people are both dumb and arrogant. I'm from the Midwest. I was taught you can be kind and dumb or arrogant and smart. I am surrounded by people who are arrogant and dumb, and it is infuriating. And I say women do almost all the emotional, 95% of the emotional labor that comes with, oh, the kid doesn't seem to be reading well. We need to get her tested for dyslexia. We need to go to this therapy. She needs physical therapy. She needs OT. Yeah. The school doesn't call the dad. They have both parents on the thing. The school never calls the dad. The teachers call the mom.
Yeah, they know.
They know because they wanted to get done. If they send me an email that the kid's been late, it wasn't my week.
Of course.
Yeah.
Right. Are you, do you think that, I don't know who the SC Perel you were talking about, is there a way, and you're a lawyer too, and I brought this up to divorce lawyers, is there a way, do you see in our lifetime that marriage will become a renewable contract? I know I've talked about it a lot. People are starting to talk about it more, where it's not till death do you part, where it is some sort of like agreement and then divorce doesn't become messy, or is that just a
we already have that. We had that for gay marriages. You saw that like gay couples before they had rights were like adopting each other so they could be in hospital room. We're seeing a lot of that. I mean, Nevada's a community property state, so it's a little different. You already have like that civil, what's it called? You probably remember.
Civil union.
Yeah, but there's a word for it. Something.
Happiness.
What?
Happiness. I don't know.
Common law wife is the word.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so we already have a form of that. What I think would be interesting, Esther Perel is a relationship expert who talks about monogamy being outdated and why polyamory makes sense and why people cheat and how they're not in love with their partner, but they're just looking for something else, that they've like missed a lot of stuff about themselves. Now, I say that I've never cheated on anyone. Like, I'm so type A that in college, I was about to kiss another guy with a boyfriend, and before I kissed him in the hot tub, I like got out of the hot tub to break up with my boyfriend. Like, I'm that person. But I do see like the argument about if one person cheats, it's both of your faults. You take each other for granted. You end up in this thing that is more about. There was a book written by a person who went to Dartmouth, and I wish I would have read it before I got married. And it's about how marriage is a business partnership, and it is. And if I had looked at marriage as a business partnership, I would have seen the red flags for my marriage to my husband much earlier. We have a good parenting relationship. He is a good dad, and he was a bad partner, which I say is way better. You don't want a good partner and a bad dad. That's way worse for your kid. We are very lucky. I had a prenup, and the only thing to argue about is custody, and I wasn't going to try and prevent my kid from seeing the dad. So we're better than 99.9% of couples. But go ahead.
Yeah. No, let's talk about the hot tub breakup for a second.
Okay.
Have you done that in other situations where you want to hook up with someone and you just say, you call someone, you're like, hey, I want to be on a break? Is that like a move that you've done more than the hot tub time?
No, when I broke up with the guy in the hot tub, I broke up with him, not like a break.
Okay,
Not like
I know, right? But have you done other things similar to that?
no.
Okay, that would be funny if that's like your move. When
It'd
like
be
I don't cheat, I just break up with someone. Like, hey, we're fighting. I want to break up, and then the next day you're like, okay, everything's cool, and then you
real
just
quick. I want to Ross and Rachel. I'm like,
yeah, right. It's like the Friends episode.
I'm
What
gonna
about?
start.
Go ahead. What? Yeah, it's a good move. Break up right before, and then be like, we were on break. Now that you're single, you're in Vegas, and that's a transient city. So and you travel too, but like, do you ever match with people? Because every time I go to Vegas and I go on the dating apps, I don't do it anymore. Everyone's like, you must be Vegas local, like it's in capital fucking letters. Are you like that, or are you willing to go out with someone if they're like travel to Vegas, 4 or 5 times a year or whatever?
No, I'm willing to go out with someone if they're looking for a long-term relationship, if they're traveling to Vegas, especially if we have something in common. They're from Chicago, New York. We have Midwest roots. They tend to be more stable. Like, as you know, everyone in Chicago went to kindergarten with each other. They get married. Everyone knows each other. There's value.
I thought you were going to say Chicago is stable. I'm like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? Absolutely not. Okay, go ahead. Right. There's values. Agree.
I don't say that, but I get quite a few people on dating apps being like, I'm looking for a short-term relationship. And then they write me, I'm like, dude, women don't need a dating app to fuck. I can walk into any green room and yell, who wants to fuck me? And so can any girl.
Well, sometimes there's like different levels. I think sometimes like a long-term relationship to me is like 3 months. Is that not right? I mean, like, I'm not looking to just fuck. I want someone that's like going to be around and that I don't have to, because I don't want to have multiple partners, but I also don't want to like get married or have something significant.
So that's interesting. When I hear short-term relationship, I just want to fuck. Maybe I'm wrong for thinking that because
no, you might be right. I don't know. I think everyone has a different look on those apps. Like, everyone has a different interpretation. Someone will say like they're very religious and they really all they do is go to church like on Christmas. But who knows? Like, it's all subjective. But to me, if you're looking for a long-term relationship, you're looking to get in a serious relationship with the next person you match with. Not
everyone. So when I look at it, I want a serious relationship. I like monogamy. I heard Jay Washington's podcast and I agree with him. It's not that I need the relationship, but it's very lonely being single. I do better in a relationship, especially one who can like be there to cheer you on. Comedy is a mess. People are insecure, they're jealous. It's like I spend so much time just going, woo, trying to like keep the toxicity off of me. It's particularly bad in Vegas, but it's bad everywhere. Yeah. And it's bad for everyone. And everyone experience. I mean, it's different for guys and girls, but the guys experience it too. And it's just I spend a lot of time going, all right, let's compartmentalize this. Let's compartmentalize this fucking bullshit. And it would be very helpful to have someone who's like your rock. I do better like, hey, I'd like to have 5 rocks, but like when people talk to me about polyamory, they told me, Lindsay, it's not just that like 5 guys are serving you. It's that you have to be emotionally available for all those 5 guys. I'm like, okay, never mind.
That's a lot.
Like, if it's just 5 guys doing active services for me, hey, let's do polyamory. Yeah. My best friend, who's not a comic, Mark, he told me, he's like, Lindsay, I think you confuse boyfriends with employees. I'm like, they can be both things.
Right. And yeah, I know you're right. It is. You need someone that understands the business too. Like, I've been in relationships with people that like it takes a while to train someone to know what the fuck we're dealing with, because they'll be like, if you're on like I eat dinner after my shows, but a lot of times people will misinterpret that as a booty call. I'm like, hey, we're not going to hook up. I just want to go get food and like talk to someone normal. I don't want to go out and get drunk with comedians. So there's like a time and place for that, and it takes a while to get someone to that level. And that's why I think that a lot of comedians end up hooking up with other comedians, which I am strongly against. What say you?
No way. Never done it. No way. I don't stick my pen in the company ink, so to speak.
Right. You're a lawyer. I figured you understood that. So I wanted to make sure. Yeah, that's what sucks. But you're in Vegas, so there's a lot of people that have the same schedule, same hustle. So like you can date musicians, you can date people that are in.
I would love to date a music producer or someone who works at a show because they're comedy adjacent, but not in comedy. That's perfect.
That's the way to go. What? So has that worked? Have you been able to do that?
I've been on dates, but nothing's like happened like that. I mostly seem to match with like tech bros or technology guys because from a wealth standpoint, I was a lawyer before. I'm not looking to be anyone's bank mommy. From a wealth standpoint, they seem to match on a wealth level. And also I get along with them. and they just have stuff that's interesting to me. I find gaming, I know nothing about gaming, but I find it interesting. Like, I don't know if you know this, but in gaming, you actually, you age, you know how you age out in comedy as a woman? Well, in gaming, you actually age out every 5 years because the technology is changing so
Oh
fast.
yeah.
Brain gets older, it can't grasp the new technologies these years, which is why you see gaming companies hiring like 21-year-olds. And I
Right.
find that sort of thing like fascinating. Like I want to go out. I meet people a lot after shows too, and I'm like, I want to go out and I want to talk about that. What did you do? Right? Like I almost stopped telling people I was a comic online, but also it helped me to promote my shows, telling them I was a
Yeah.
comic online.
Yeah. Oh, people listen to the podcast just from me being on dating apps. So it
Yeah.
works.
Or people say to me, but then you get some shit like, maybe you could take me out to coffee. I've always wanted to be a comic. And I'm like, fuck you, block. No.
Yeah. No, that's the worst.
But it
But
does
people
get lonely. Like, I get why people are sleeping with other comics. Like, it's when I was a public defender, that happened too. You were always in the courtroom. So public defenders slept with prosecutors and judges because that's where you
Is that
were.
right? Oh wow. I didn't see that where I did, but I did when I first started my first job out of law school. I slept with everyone in my office, which is I was fucking so stupid. So stupid. Like secretaries, lawyers, paralegals. I was just an idiot.
Everyone hated you.
No, I think I got away with it because I was just so dumb and naive. But and it was a different time. But let me ask you this. What about lawyers? Have you dated other lawyers before?
I also don't dip my pen in the company. Now, maybe
Yeah.
it's different because I testify as an expert witness. I'm not really in the courtroom in the same way. So I
Yeah.
date a judge, but they don't make enough money now. So like back in the day, they made more money. But
Yeah.
I was talking to DC Benny about this, who's my good friend. I was saying there's been plenty of comics who have hit on me. And recently, I will say this. There was a comic who hit on me recently, and he was older than me by a lot. And I actually did feel attracted to him. I did not let him know that. And he was significantly older than me. And I really
Red
liked
buttons.
what?
Red buttons? No, I'm just kidding.
What?
I just was thinking of like an old comic.
No,
Go ahead.
no. And I liked him. And he's a nice guy. And I even said to DC Benny, I was like, hey, can I trust this guy? And he's like, yeah. But like the thing is, like I talked to DC about it, and I'm like, and Dean Napolitano, who you probably know too, in Florida. And I tell them, I'm like, dude, I know I shouldn't date comics, but it's so lonely. Like it's just so lonely that sometimes, I told DC, I'm like, sometimes you're like just desperate because, I've had comics I've connected with on that level, and I've been like, oh, maybe, but then the problem is then when you break up, everyone's fucked.
Yeah.
So it's just like
you can't do it. You can't do it. I mean, that's the common sense.
also male comics can't keep a secret at all. All of them, big mouth.
Yeah, that's true. Well, with lawyers, for me, I wouldn't date other lawyers. I did it a lot, but I just feel like if you're both on that same level, it's almost like comedy where you're just kind of like, not that you want to argue, but like you have to win, especially if you're a litigator. So like,
yeah, I'd rather be right but happy, and lawyers would rather be right.
Right. It's hard to be. Yeah, we rather be right than happy. That's a good way to say it. And that's a lot like comedy in a way too. Like it's like right over happiness. And that's hard if you're in a relationship. And I wonder if you and I, both being lawyers, both playing comedians, that's almost like two strikes against us in a lot of ways, right? Because we're again smarter than most people. And then we're also funnier than most people. So it's like you're already fucked. The pool has gotten less.
But I really hate this. Doesn't happen to guys. Did you hear Nikki Glazer saying about she thought, oh great, when I get more famous, I'll be able to pull guys like Pete Davidson. And then she said, but here's the thing. The reason Kim Kardashian and other people can pull male comics and Pete Davidson is males want to date people who think they're funny. Right. Females want to date people who think they're funny. And so like females, I wish I could pull this clip.
No, I understand the premise is true. I think guys are intimidated. Their egos are fragile. They can't accept not being the funny one in the relationship.
And she put it in such good terms. I'm going to send it to you later. But I remember there was a famous comedian who was dating a friend of mine who's not that famous. And they were both comics. And I've heard this in more than one couple. And a lot of times, that non-famous comic was sometimes funnier on some days, just at lunch, than the famous comic, just at lunch. And those famous comics couldn't like handle it.
Right.
Because the ego gets involved. Then the other thing that happens is I've been on dates with like neurosurgeons and like people who like just want to be famous or do comedy, and then they try and like give you like advice about how you can
Oh
be
God,
famous,
yeah.
especially from neurosurgeons who have God complex, and then you just go, oh yeah, that's nice. You've
Oh, I get
certainly
it.
given me something
Yeah.
to think about.
I have a
Yeah.
family of neurosurgeons. I get it. My brother's a
See?
neurosurgeon. Yeah. It's
The females would never say that to a guy comic, but guy doctors will say that to female comic.
So what are the worst since you've been single? How long have you been separated now or
It's
divorced?
2019 about.
Okay. So what are you going on dating apps exclusively or meeting in real life too?
Both, but
Okay.
I mostly meet everyone on Hinge or eHarmony randomly.
Oh wow,
Um,
okay.
I know it's weird, but someone told me about Match. The honest thing is, what will happen is I'll get on dating sites and 3,000 people will write me, and I'll respond a lot in the beginning, and then I'll just forget. So I have to like give you my phone number like right away, else I like just won't pay any attention. I try and take it. I red flag as many people as I can, and then I take it offline as soon as I can, and then I meet you in person. See those grids behind me? That's how I treat my dating life too. One of those boards is just my dating life with
Is
like
that right?
everyone I met. Yeah. I turn around that calendar, it's all just like this dude is this dude is that. I told Mike McKeown once, we were meeting, I was telling him that like dating's so hard because my entire personality is type A, like written it out. Like, okay, I have a goal, let's fucking crush this shit. Oh, by the way, I'm spontaneous and I love walks on the beach. But
Yeah.
not true at all. I am not spontaneous. I'm a person like wants a goal to crush it. But you gotta pull that way fucking back when you're dating.
Yeah.
No one likes like an intense, like A-type person, like, all right, so we're on our third date. Where are we? You know, just like crazy.
What are you attracting other type A's or are you attracting you got to be opposites, right? I would assume.
Both.
Okay.
Type A's, other type A's are great for the bedroom, and then you want to kill yourself outside the bedroom. You want to kill each other and yourself. But if you're too far type B the other way, and then they're like relying on you to do everything. I'm so crazy that on my Hinge profile, my guy friends made me take this off. I don't know if you know Michael Morello in Florida, but he's a very good friend of mine. And my Hinge profile at some point said, if you aren't worth $500,000 in liquid, you probably aren't a match unless you're an accountant or a tech bro. And I was just, and also I'm sick of being everyone's bank mommy. So my next relationship is going to be 110 you, negative 25 me. And Morello was like, all right, you sound insane. And you need to take
it back a notch. Well, what if they have a job?
Back by 17 notches.
Yeah, why can't they just be? What if you do make more money, or you did make more money than? I mean, now you're not making your. Are you still practicing law or no?
I do investing in companies. I practice law from like a test expert witness,
Gotcha.
which makes way more money than law.
Right.
And I invest in companies and stocks. So
Sure.
The problem is, if you just have a $70,000 job, that's great, but now you're affecting my lifestyle because now I have to pay for stuff for you.
Because you want to do stuff that's more like you want to go.
It's not like I need to go to fancy restaurants or whatever. There's more practical things that go on. I don't have to think about we can't go to this restaurant because he'll feel like not a man if I have to pay. Just
Got it. Yeah. That makes sense. It's like a class, different levels of.
I know it sounds classes. It could work, but it's not as likely to work. And I do much better with guys who are 10 years older than me or more who can handle the success. Because even when I was younger and successful, even guys who made more money than me did not like that I was close to as successful as them. It like affected their ego. Maybe it's different now because we're older, but it like affected their ego. And honestly, I don't have time to protect your ego. I've got shit to do.
What is your type other than, okay, so we've talked about things like, do you have a physical type where you look at the guys, if we line them all together, to be like, okay, they all kind of have a similar, what's the connection between them? Is it physical or?
I mean, I like silver fox guys and I like guys that have like big biceps, but mostly it's based on my connection to you. Like I really do. I think people think that I like care more about physical, but I really don't. Like physical looks are fleeting. I've got to have an attraction to you physically, but I really need to have more like of a soul connection. I think that's hard because I've got intimacy issues and I'm not that open all the time. So I have to work on being open. So sure. I have to drink when I go on a date. It loosens, lubes me up a little, loosens my tongue. Because otherwise I'm like, all right, how much money do you make? Where do you see your 10 years?
What kind of car do you drive? What
in a house.
What about like other things? Are there deal breakers for you aside from money and the ability, like ego ability to handle you being more successful or funny?
What kind of deal breakers do you mean?
What's that? Like, I mean, some people now politics are a huge deal breaker for kids, younger kids now. Music type, if you don't have a lot of things, drugs, alcohol. I don't know. Some people, for me, I'm a music snob, so if someone doesn't know about music, it's difficult for me.
That's really funny you say that. I'm dating this guy also who loves me, but will not talk to me about music because he's a music snob. And he says when I talk to anyone about music, makes him not like it. So I'd rather avoid the conversation. But he loves me. He tells me he's going to marry me, and he will not talk to me about music because he loves like Tool and like all that. Did you see that joke about like a comic posted it said, I started listening to a Tool song in 1994 and it still hasn't ended. That's how I feel about Tool. Also, my therapist.
That makes sense. Yeah, like I know I dated a girl who listened to like electronica, like dance music, but like in her car everywhere. Like I'm like, okay, it's not a fucking club right now. Like, can we just listen to regular music? Like it was like nonstop. I'm like, how do you live your life? Like it just gave me headaches.
I own a hair salon where we like served cookies and coffee and did DJ like that, like a club. I own it with my sisters, and I couldn't go get my hair cut when the DJ was there. I'm like, fucking turn it off.
Yeah.
I'm like a 90-year-old in in this body. Like I'm like so much old. I've been like this since I was 6 years old. I'm not the fun friend. I'm not fun. I have like loosened up on the pot thing. I think comedy made me do that because before I would have been like, you smoke pot, drink. I do watch out. Neurosurgeons in general seem to have an adrenaline thing going on. Like on the weekends, I parachute and then we use cigar. But I'm like, all right, I want to watch Netflix. We're not a match. Yeah. Like I'm not going to go out with someone who every weekend needs to go drink in the hottest restaurant and whatever, fly to Paris on their private plane. I'm not. By the way, I'm thrilled if you have a private jet, but I don't want to try and break my neck every weekend. I'll go.
That's like that's like your type A, like organized and not being spontaneous type thing.
I can be loose within a thing. If you're like, hey, this weekend, are you free? Let's just hang out. Then I can do it. But I do not want to like you to just like show up on Wednesday and be like, pack your bags and then like fly me to Tanzania.
Right. Yeah. Well, comedians are kind of adrenaline junkies too, but I do understand what you're saying in that regard. What about if so let's say you meet this guy, he's a music producer. Mm-hmm. He's Silver Fox. He's older, he's got huge biceps. He's everything's great, but he's 5'1".
Oh, I don't care about that. Like,
okay, I'm just trying to find these deal breakers.
Well, I mean, first off, I'm 5'3", so if he's 5'1", maybe that would be weird. But if he's like 5'4", my last husband was 5'4". I think that women are trained to like be attracted to the tall person because it makes you feel safe and protected. But what makes me feel safe and protected is that you have a stable income. You can take care of me and handle your own doctor's appointments, and I don't have to be your bake mommy. And also Jewish guys in general, from a cultural standpoint, are shorter. I don't have to date a Jewish guy now because it doesn't matter because I have a kid. That's the only way it matters.
Right.
But there is a cultural understanding from Jewish guys that I don't see in the same other way. Like,
okay, same analogy. He's 5'4". He's a music producer, makes a lot of money, but super disorganized in the sense that like he's always like he wants you to make the plans, but he pays for everything. He's like, hey, what do you want to do tonight? You're like, I don't know. You're like, well, then you have to make the plans, but you get to decide where you guys eat, where you go on vacation, all this stuff, but he pays for it. In or out.
And I would take an extra money from him as a management fee for managing the relationship.
You can't take a management fee in a relationship.
Why not? My therapist.
He's fucking paying for everything. He's already paying.
My therapist is married, and she told me this. This is the funniest thing I've ever heard. She has like 3 kids, and she said she does a lot more parenting. It used to make her so angry, but she manages the finances. So just every month, she takes a parenting fee from him, and I thought that was brilliant. It's not like a huge thing.
You can't do that. No management fee in this relationship. Are you in or out? This is a guy. He's got a plane, and
he's disorganized. He's got a plane.
He's not disorganized. He's organized, but when it comes to dates and stuff like that,
no problem. Pain and I make the plans. That's not a big deal. Okay. What I want to know is I'm sick and I'm in the hospital. Can he take care of my kid, get her to school, come take care of me, manage the insurance?
Yeah, he's reliable.
Off my plate. Or is he rich enough that he has an assistant who can do that?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, same analogy. He has a face tattoo. Are you in?
Ooh, probably not. Face tattoos for me scream, I need help. Tattoos, fine. Face tattoos, so, like, to me, I don't know if this is probably, I'm Gen X, not Gen Z or Gen Millennial. I've never seen a guy with a face tattoo I've been attracted to.
Okay. What if it's
Also,
a neck tattoo? What if it's a huge neck tattoo?
now, but this looks like my jail clients now. Like,
They wear turtlenecks.
And I have to be like, he has that neck tattoo because he's Native American and it's some meaningful
No,
tribe
it's
thing.
not. It's a
just like
Tool tattoo. It's a tattoo of the band Tool.
No way. I make impulsive decisions. I got this fucking Chinese tattoo that I think means serenity and really means butt fuck. No.
Yeah.
Because that shows me that you committed to something without really thinking about it.
Okay, what if no tattoo, but he's got a beard, but it's like a fucking Osama bin Laden beard, like huge.
I'd never be attracted to that. But guys who have a beard,
you're
really
okay with beards?
I love beards, like Silver Fox, like here, but not like long. I've never seen a guy with like a long beard. I've been attracted to those guys are attracted to me all the time, like from in comedy and out of comedy. I can think of 20 right now, randomly.
Okay, I'm trying to think of what the deal breaker could be. What if there are there comedy types?
Deal breakers. What?
Okay, what about like comedy types? What if you guys don't like the same comedy? Like
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Wow, so it's pretty easy for you. You just have to have a lot of money, organized, and older than you.
I just want someone who can handle my. So older than you is also better in the bedroom. They have more experience, and it's also better because they're less jealous. They're more secure, and they're likely to understand the hours. I dated a Marine once whose ex-wife cheated on him, and just every time I was like out late at the comedy club, I didn't call him back right away. He's like, "Where have you been?" I'm like, "Dude,
trust issues." Yeah.
You not trusting me or trusting me is not going to make me more likely to cheat on you. Just like that sort of thing, where I need to respond to you right away. And also, I have that happen a lot with dates where someone will text me and I'll take a while to text them back because I don't have my phone all the time. I'm with my kid. I forgot to charge it. I'm charging it in the other room and it's on airplane mode, so it charges faster. And they're like, "Where have you been? I texted you." Oh, settle down.
Right.
So older guys aren't on their phone like that. They don't expect that sort of thing. They're more present when you are together. I hate when you're out with someone and they can't get off their phone. I'm like, "What are you doing here? I could have just stayed at home and texted you."
Right. What about, so let me ask you this. Let's say you guys hit it off. First date, this guy, bearded, but properly bearded, music producer, but he doesn't live in LA or in Vegas. He's there 5 times a year, and he's into you. Are you in? Doesn't have to live there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would date that person, but we'd have to date him longer to see if we're a match. You don't know. You're not living together. It's different.
Now here's the question. Okay, that makes sense. So here's a question for you then also, since you are type A. Are you the type of person where if it's a connection and you're physically attracted to them, everything's going well on the first date, are you going to say, well, we can't be physical because I have this rule? Or are you just like, fuck it, let bygones be
I'll fool around with you, but I won't sleep with you because I'm so type A. I've never slept with anyone whose STD test I haven't seen.
Is that right? Oh my God, well, you can wear a condom. What difference?
You could wear a condom, but herpes can be transferred even with a condom. And I remember my friend Moreau, when I told him this, like when we first became friends, he's like, someone could Photoshop that. I'm like, you're right, they could. But if they went to the trouble of Photoshopping their STD test, that actually still shows me something.
That's implying that they know they have something, and that's illegal in some states to not disclose that you have whatever, depending on what it is.
What's that called? What's that called? When you have a condom on, but then you take it off and you're still fucking the girl. It's like
Friday night.
No, you're fucking the girl with a condom and then you remove it without her permission.
Oh,
it's illegal in LA. Sheeting, shelving, someone, I can't remember exactly. I'll figure it out.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's illegal in LA and probably some places. Removing a condom during intercourse without letting the girl know. Not like it broke on accident.
What if they know that you did it, but you didn't get consent? What's the rule on that? Like, they did it.
It's called stealthing.
Stuffing?
Stealthing. Like
stealthing. Oh, wow. We learn something new every day. I'm putting that down. Stealthing.
Yeah, if that happened, I would immediately get you out of there. Yeah, I don't sleep with people until I'm like really sure. I'll fool around with you. I won't be like, we can't kiss. It's the first date. I want to know if there's chemistry. And But
you got to see his package, right? I mean, at some point,
yeah, you got to feel it. I mean, I don't need to see it. I can just feel it. I mean,
what if it's huge, but then it's got like weird shit going on? You got to see it too.
I mean, that's true. That's what the STD test is for.
Oh, sometimes they're like crooked.
I was talking about this with DC Benny once when we was saying no woman wants an 11-inch cock. No one's ever been like, I had like an early joke early on. I'm like, all right, we're good with like 7 to 9, whatever. And everyone's like, 7 to 9? Are you There's an old Jewish joke about why are Jewish women bad at math, from squinting and going, that's 4 inches or whatever. But that's not my joke. It's a street joke.
Yeah.
But no woman wants to have sex that long. We've got shit to do. Hurry up and get it over.
I know. I hear that a lot. Lindsay, we are out of time. We're out of time. This was so fun. I wanna hear more about stuff like this. Definitely when I'm in Vegas, we'll have to get you back on and do it in person. Well, I'm trying to. I'm sending my avails. I haven't got anything for this year yet. Where can people find out more about you and your upcoming shows and everything like that?
You can go to www.lindsayglazer.com, LindsayGlazer.com. It's Lindsay Glazer Comedy on Instagram. Tomorrow, I actually have Ryan Talmo on my live talking about how to do comedy in Vegas. My next shows, I'm actually featuring for Mo Alexander at Stardome Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm at Jukebox headlining Peoria, Illinois for Valentine's weekend.
Oh, this will air after that, unfortunately.
Well then, when will this air so I can tell them where I am?
Probably in March. So anything you have in March?
Well, I'm in Canada, so none of you will be there.
Oh yeah.
I'm for 2 weeks at Absolute Comedy for the last 2 weeks. It's my first time in Canada. Have you done Canada yet?
No, I haven't done Canada for comedy yet.
Awesome. Well, that's where you can find me, in Canada at Absolute in both Ottawa and Toronto.
Well, to go to your website, we'll have that your Instagram too, so they can find you on Instagram as well. Thank you so much for joining us, Lindsay. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for listening to another edition of Singles Only Podcast.
Thank you.
So we've been doing this podcast, 6-7 years now? And the one thing you know about me, other than that I was a comedian, is that I was a lawyer. It's one of the cardinal things associated with me behind being a comedian, former musician, or failed musician, or Persian, or old. But when I need a lawyer, I call my friend Scott Shapiro, and you should do the same too. 312-648-8800. Scott Shapiro has been representing people for 25 years with workers' comp cases, personal injury, and entertainment law. Scott is a full-service law firm, and in addition to all the injuries that I talked about, work injuries, personal injury, and entertainment law, he handles other matters too. So you can hit him up, 312-648-8800, or check out his website, scottshapirolegal.com, or email him at scott@scottshapirolegal.com. Tell him I sent you. You will not be disappointed.
But I'm still standing.